No, I'm giving you an ultimatum over respect, over partnership, over your sense of entitlement that's been growing for the past year. Entitlement? I jumped up, anger flaring. How dare you? How dare I? He laughed.
Hey there, I'm Adrian, and I need to get something off my chest. You know that feeling when something small keeps nagging at you until it's not so small anymore? That's where I am right now with my girlfriend, Hazel. We've been together for almost a year now, and 3 months ago, we took that big step of moving in together. On paper, everything looks great. We split the major stuff, rent, utilities, all those grown-up bills that come with sharing a place. But there's this thing that's been eating at me, and lately it's getting harder to ignore. Last weekend, we were at our favorite coffee shop. Hazel was telling me about her day, laughing about some office drama, when the barista called out our order. Without missing a beat in her story, she grabbed her drink and kept talking. And there I was, pulling out my wallet. Again. It hit me then, I couldn't remember the last time she'd offered to pay for, well, anything smaller than a utility bill. Every coffee run, every dinner out, every random takeout order, they all come out of my pocket. It's been like this for almost a year now. I work in tech, making about $100,000 a year. Pretty decent, right? Hazel does well too, $75,000 in marketing. We're both comfortable, both professionals. But somehow, every restaurant check lands in front of me. Every single time. The other night, I was going through my credit card statement, and man, it was eye-opening. All those lunch dates, coffee runs, and impromptu dinner orders, they really add up. I found myself doing the math. Yeah, I know, super romantic, and the numbers made my stomach turn. You might think I'm being petty. Maybe I am. But it's not just about the money. It's what it represents. When did it become a given that I'd pick up every tab? The income gap between us isn't even that big. Sure, I make more, but not fund every date night for a year more. Sitting there with my credit card statement, I realized something had to change. We need to have a real conversation about money and expectations, about partnership, about what's fair. The thought of bringing it up makes my palms sweat. Nobody wants to be the person who makes things awkward by talking about money. But here's the thing, we're living together now. This is serious. And if we can't talk about this stuff, what kind of foundation are we building? I close my laptop and hear Hazel humming in the kitchen, probably scrolling through food delivery apps for dinner. My stomach tightens. I know this conversation needs to happen, and soon. I just hope she'll understand where I'm coming from. Little did I know this wasn't just about splitting the dinner bill. Sometimes the smallest things, like who pays for coffee, can crack open much bigger issues. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Right then, listening to Hazel in the kitchen, I had no idea just how deep this conversation would take us.
Hi, I'm Hazel. I've been planning something special for weeks now. A romantic getaway for our 1-year anniversary. We're talking beachfront resort, couples massages, sunset dinners, the whole dream package. I'd spent hours researching the perfect destination, imagining Adrian's face when I showed him the brochures. This was going to be perfect. So, I curled up next to Adrian on our couch one evening, tablet in hand. Our anniversary's coming up in 2 months. He glanced up from his phone, smiling. Already? Time flies. I've been thinking. I pulled up the resort website I'd bookmarked. What if we did something really special? I handed him the tablet, watching his face as he scrolled through the images. Crystal clear waters, private beach, luxury suite. It was everything I'd imagined for our first big milestone. His smile faded slightly as he reached the pricing section. This looks expensive. Well, yeah, but it's our anniversary. I snuggled closer, excitement bubbling in my voice. You could afford it and it would be so romantic. Hazel. He set the tablet down. Do you mean I alone should pay for this vacation? I sat up straighter. This wasn't the reaction I'd expected. Well, yeah? I mean, you're my boyfriend. Isn't this the kind of romantic gesture that shows how much you value our relationship? Hold up. Adrian's tone shifted. Are you saying I need to prove I value you by paying for an expensive vacation? That's not what I meant. I protested, though maybe it kind of was. It's just traditional, isn't it? The man usually takes the lead with special occasions like this. Traditional. He raised an eyebrow. So now you want traditional gender roles? That's different, I argued, feeling my cheeks flush. Look, you make more than I do. Not that much more, he cut in. You make good money, Hazel. But still. I clutched the tablet tighter. I put so much thought into planning this. I found the perfect place. Researched all the activities. Planning is great, he said, his voice frustratingly level. But why does that automatically mean I foot the bill? Because I struggled to find the right words. Because it would mean so much to me. To us. This isn't just any vacation. It's our first anniversary. Don't you want to make it special? Of course I do, Adrian sighed. But special doesn't mean I have to bankroll everything. If this is about us, why aren't we both contributing? I felt tears pricking at my eyes. This wasn't how this conversation was supposed to go. In my head, he'd been thrilled, swept away by the romance of it all. Instead, he was turning it into some kind of accounting discussion. I just wanted it to be romantic, I said quietly, staring at the Paradise Beach scene still glowing on my tablet. You know, like in movies where the guy surprises his girlfriend with an amazing trip. Real life isn't a movie, Hazel. Real relationships are about partnership. My chest tightened with frustration. Why couldn't he understand? This wasn't about money, not really. It was about romance, about showing how much our relationship meant. I could feel the conversation shifting, tension building between us like a storm about to break. You know what? I straightened my spine, anger replacing my initial hurt. If you'd been treating me right all along, showing that you're serious about us, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation. Adrian's eyes narrowed at that, and I could see something change in his expression. The evening was far from over, and suddenly I realized we were about to have a much bigger discussion than I'd planned. Looking back, maybe I should have seen it coming. Sometimes when you pull on one thread, the whole thing starts to unravel. And boy, were we about to do some unraveling.
You know those moments when a conversation suddenly shifts and you realize you're not just talking about what you thought you were talking about? Yeah, that's where we were headed. Hazel's last comment about me not treating her right, it's something deep. Here I was, having funded practically every date, every meal, every little expense for nearly a year, and somehow I wasn't doing enough. The frustration I'd been bottling up started to bubble over. Not treating you right? I repeated, my voice carrying an edge I rarely used. Let's talk about treating people right, Hazel. How about the fact that you haven't offered to pick up a single check in almost a year? That's different. She clutched her tablet closer, the romantic beach images still glowing mockingly. I put in effort in other ways. I'm always here for you emotionally, supporting your goals, being your biggest cheerleader. And you think I don't do those things? I stood up, needing to move. That's basic relationship stuff, Hazel. That's the bare minimum of being a decent partner. It doesn't buy you a lifetime pass from financial responsibility. You're missing the point. She jumped up too, her earlier tears replaced by frustration. This vacation was supposed to be about you showing your commitment, making a gesture that proves what? I spun around. That I'm willing to keep being your personal ATM? Because that's what this is starting to feel like. Her face flushed red. How dare you reduce our relationship to that? I'm trying to create something memorable here, something special. You want to talk about memorable? I let out a harsh laugh. How about the memory of watching you order the most expensive thing on the menu every single time, knowing you have zero intention of contributing? How's that for special? That's not fair. You've never complained before. You always seemed happy to pay. Because that's what guys are supposed to do, right? The sarcasm in my voice was thick. Keep paying, keep proving ourselves, keep showing our worth through our wallets. Now you're just twisting my words. Hazel's voice rose. I contribute plenty to this relationship, just because it's not always financial. Oh, please enlighten me. I crossed my arms. Tell me how planning a vacation that I'm supposed to pay for is your contribution. Explain to me how expecting me to fund your idea of romance is somehow equal partnership. You're being ridiculous. She threw her hands up. Plenty of couples operate this way. The person who earns more. Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop right there. You make $75,000 a year, Hazel. You're not some struggling artist living paycheck to paycheck. You're a successful professional who's gotten comfortable letting someone else foot all the bills. It's not all the bills. We split rent and utilities. Yeah, the basic stuff you can't wiggle out of. The words were flowing now, months of frustration finding their voice. But everything else, coffee runs, dinner dates, weekend brunches, movie nights, when's the last time you reached for your wallet? Can you even remember? She fell silent for a moment, and I could see her struggling to find a defense. You're making this all about money when it's about so much more. It's about showing effort, about making grand gestures. Gestures work both ways, Hazel. What grand gestures have you made? Besides planning things for me to pay for. I can't believe you're being like this. Her voice cracked slightly. This was supposed to be about our anniversary, about creating something special together. Together? I scoffed. There's nothing together about one person planning and the other person paying. That's not a partnership, that's a transaction. The word hung in the air between us, heavy and accusatory. I could see it hit her like a physical blow, but I wasn't done. All those moments of biting my tongue, all those times I told myself it wasn't a big deal, they were all coming out now. You want to know what real effort looks like? I continued, my voice low and intense. It's both people investing in the relationship, emotionally and financially. It's not about keeping score, but it's definitely not about one person constantly taking while the other gives. Hazel sank back onto the couch, her earlier confidence deflating. The tablet with its images of paradise slipped from her hands onto the cushions. I could see the wheels turning in her head as she tried to process everything, tried to formulate another argument. But sometimes, when the truth hits, there's no argument left. And we were about to find out just how much truth could hurt. Little did I know, this conversation was about to take an even sharper turn. Sometimes when you start pulling at loose threads, the whole thing unravels faster than you expected. And boy, were we about to do some serious unraveling.
Let me tell you about the moment my whole world tilted on its axis. You know that feeling when you're so sure you're right, until suddenly you're not? When your perfectly constructed reality starts crumbling around you. I sat there on the couch, our dream vacation forgotten on the tablet beside me, watching Adrian pace our living room like a caged animal. I'd never seen him like this before. All that carefully controlled frustration finally breaking loose. And then he dropped the bomb. "Here's how it's going to be from now on," he said, his voice unnervingly calm. "Everything, and I mean everything, gets split 50-50. Rent, utilities, groceries, restaurants, takeout. Every single expense. That's not fair." I protested automatically. "You make more. 25,000 more." He cut in, his eyes flashing. "Not 100,000 more. Not enough to justify being your personal bank."
But
"No buts, Hazel. This isn't a negotiation. Either we're equal partners in everything, or—" He paused, and my stomach dropped at his expression. "Or what?" My voice came out small, uncertain. "Or you can pack your things and leave." The words hit me like a physical blow. "You're giving me an ultimatum? Over money?" "No, I'm giving you an ultimatum over respect. Over partnership. Over your sense of entitlement that's been growing for the past year." "Entitlement?" I jumped up, anger flaring. "How dare you? How dare I?" He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "How dare I expect my girlfriend to contribute equally to our life together? How dare I want a partner instead of a dependent? I am not a dependent." But even as I said it, memory started flashing through my mind. All those times I'd let him pick up the check without offering. All those coffee runs where I just assumed he'd pay. "Really?" He pulled out his phone. "Let's look at last month's expenses. Every dinner out, every takeout order, every grocery run, all on me. When was the last time you even offered?" I opened my mouth to argue, then closed it. "When was the last time?" "That's what I thought." He shook his head. "You know what really gets me? You're not my wife. You're not even my fiancé. We're dating, Hazel. Dating. And somehow you've decided that gives you the right to treat my wallet like a joint account." Tears welled up in my eyes again. But this time they weren't manipulative tears designed to make him feel bad. These were real tears of shame and recognition. I never meant. I struggled to find words. Never meant what? To take advantage? To get comfortable with me funding your lifestyle? Because that's exactly what's been happening. The worst part was he wasn't wrong. As his words sank in, I saw a relationship from his perspective for the first time. Every casual, "Oh, can you get this?" Every unquestioning assumption that he'd cover the bill. Every time I'd plan something romantic that he was expected to fund. "Adrian, I'm sorry," I whispered, really meaning it. "I didn't realize." "Well, now you do." His voice softened slightly, but his resolve didn't waver. "So what's it going to be, Hazel? Are we going to be real partners, or should I help you pack?" The thought of losing him, of losing us, sent panic shooting through my chest. "Partners," I said quickly. "I want us to be partners. Real ones. I'll change, I promise." He studied my face for a long moment, searching for sincerity. "I mean it, Hazel. This isn't just about saying what I want to hear right now. If you ever pull this entitled princess routine again—" "I won't," I cut in, standing up and moving toward him. "I get it now, I really do. I've been awful, haven't I?